Hello, welcome back to the YouTube channel of Bethel Evangelical Free Church Hanley. I'm Pastor Gervais Charmley, and this is continuing the epic tour of churches in Western Cumbria. This is the Church of the Holy Trinity, Colton. It's an interesting building, probably has origins in the 1480s, and it's then enlarged and rebuilt in the 1530s. The subsequent history includes at least one fire, one incident in the 1730s when some local lads were imprisoned for pulling down part of the building, and various restorations. They say that no two windows are the same. The windows are an interesting, rather uneven jumble of things. There's some nice stained glass mostly later. It has had a bit of a Victorian restoration, but not one of these over-the-top ones. And it still retains very much this character of being this hillside Lake District church of great antiquity. Well, not very great antiquity, because 1480s, but nevertheless it is quite old. So let's have a look around and see what we can see. So Holy Trinity, Colton. As usual, we start at the west end, looking east. I'm not sure whether it's the ecclesiastical west, and I'm pretty sure it is, because this is a medieval building, but you never know sometimes. The font is 15th century, a little bit battered, as you can see, local red sandstone. We have an internal porch here. There's an external one as well. Can't really see the window up there, but trust me when I say it's in memory of 50 years of Queen Elizabeth II. This here indicates there probably was a west gallery at some point. It's been removed. There are some memorials. This one is to Thomas Crewdson of Readingside in this parish, who died in 1825. We have here just getting closer, can you see it? And this is the Good Samaritan window you can see here. There's the man who fell among thieves, and then there's those who passed him by. There's the Good Samaritan, there he's left recuperating in the inn. That's 1958. So around 1960 window. And here we have Jacob's Ladder on this side. And there is a transept, probably just to add extra seating. It's probably not medieval, although you never know in these places, but originally it would have been just a straightforward structure, and it's just had this added at some point. This is some Rawlinson family memorials. There's the organ and the pulpit here, and so we carry on up here into the chancel. No structural division because that's expensive. We have reredos. The altar frontal suggests a more high church position these days. East window is a little bit worn and weathered. They can get that way. And we have memorial here to James Marshall Esquire of Hollow Oak. Died 1775. And looking west, draw nigh to God, Royal Arms and Benefaction Board. And then we've got these various windows, memorials, Mother's Union banner, whether they still have one, but it's Colton, Rusland and Satterthwaite. So those three churches, all of which are still functioning in some way. And here we have St Albans, St George, and this is the War Memorial window. So, War Memorial down here because, of course, the Great War touched everywhere, even those few parishes where nobody was lost. We have Daniel and St John. So, another war memorial at the back there. The church was restored in 1890, says the Benefaction Board. That's the inside here at Holy Trinity, Colton. Nice roomy building, nice old, probably 18th century roof, because we know it burned down at some point prior to that. So let's go outside. So here we are outside of Colton. You can see a nice long, low building. West Tower, quite unusual in this part of the world. Shows that there was some money there. There's a bell in there that's 13th century, which is older than the church. Did it come from a previous building on the side? Quite possibly. It's rendered, which is normal. They normally were rendered. It's protected from the weather. Basically, the weather eats away at the render, which you can replace rather than eating away at the stone wall, which is harder to replace. And again, you see these windows. No two windows are alike. And the high window above the porch, again a suggestion of a west gallery that's been removed at some point, as they often were, partly because of numbers, partly because they became unsafe, and it was, do we fix the west gallery or do we take it down? But also you can get in the 19th century vicars who were more ritualistic, who are, well, there's an old band up here, if we take down the gallery then the band won't be there. But also in this parish there was a relatively large Baptist cause, so the Baptist chapel at Tottlebank, not very far away, and so there's a good number of nonconformists who of course didn't come here, and it's a fairly big chapel, although it has its ups and downs, but that's another story. Talking about this building here, which also had its ups and downs, not least when those lads in the 1730s tried to pull it down partly. Now, was it some sort of stupid prank? Quite possibly. They got excommunicated as well as being fined, I believe, rather than briefly imprisoned, but just locked up for a little while. Anyway, they got excommunicated as well, because if you attack the church, well, the church has got to do something about it, hasn't it? So we'll have a little look at the outside. As I say, mostly the south side is the one you can see most, because you've got car park and such like at the north side. So let's have a little look around. Okay, let's go. Here we are. The church is partway up a hill, and yeah, that's the sound of a farmer going past. The roof line has a bit of a wobble to it. This is because these this is because in the past they didn't bother so much about making sure that the timber was fully seasoned before using it. We saw inside the chancel steps, and here you can see, in fact, the church is built into the side of a hill, and the chancel steps partway down actually reflect internally the lie of the land externally. Good number of old table tombs. See up there looking. Priest door, or yes, priest door, because it's a medieval church, has been filled in here. You don't necessarily need it. Why bother keeping it open? Because of course what thing's happening if you keep it open is you've got to make sure that it keeps, and there's the east end, because you can't get round there. So it's a very nice building. That tower, quite unusual here, even with medieval. I don't think that tower is medieval. I suspect it's probably a bit earlier. Nice solid porch, which is a shelter from the storm. So let's have a little wander to see what there is round the north side. Not a huge mound here. There is I suspect that's an old schoolhouse there. Yes, that's the old schoolhouse, which is now the church hall. And here we have, you can just see there's the transept, and there's other of those nice windows, no two the same, which is a very charming feature actually, and sort of thing that, and yes, it's this rather unpleasant cement render which is all the rage at one point, and of course it was recommended actually in some cases by English Heritage, and English Heritage now say, oh no, sorry, wrong stuff, you've got to spend megabucks to take it off and replace it with something softer. Which of course churches don't have megabucks, so they're rather stuck unless they can raise the money, or unless it starts falling off on its own, which is not a good thing, but that's what happens. So there we are.